I gotta tell the people about Mr. Jared Goff, okay? Here's the thing, all right? So, I did a little bit of research before the show, as I do. And Jared Goff right now is having a pretty good year, but I just wanna emphasize the quality of year, okay? Okay, so Jared Goff right now to this point has thrown for 1,618 yards this season. That's more than Patrick Mahomes. That's more than Josh Allen. More than Jalen Hurts. More than Trevor Lawrence. It's more than Brock Purdy. More than Justin Herbert. More than Dak Prescott. More than Lamar Jackson. I can go down the list. Okay. Touchdowns. Jared Goff has thrown 11 touchdowns. That's tied for Patrick Mahomes. Tied, actually, believe it or not, with Justin Fields. More than Brock Purdy. More than CJ Stroud. More than Justin Herbert. More than Jalen Hurts. More than Trevor Lawrence. First downs. Jared Goff has thrown 77 first downs. That's tied with Josh Allen, tied with CJ Stroud. It's more than Patrick Mahomes. It's more than Brock Purdy. It's more than Dak Prescott. It's more than Jalen Hurts. What about yards per game? Okay. Jared Goff has thrown 269.7 yards per game. That's more than Justin Herbert. That's more than Patrick Mahomes. More than Josh Allen. More than Jalen Hurts. More than Trevor Lawrence. More than Geno Smith. What about quarterback rating? Okay. Jared Goff has 105.1 quarterback rating. Higher than Josh Allen. Higher than Justin Herbert. Higher than Patrick Mahomes. Higher than Lamar Jackson. And so on. What about QBR? Jared Goff has a 73.3 QBR according to Football Reference, higher than Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield, Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford. The list goes on and on. All of this is to say, Jared Goff is a top 5 quarterback in this league. He is. And it's not just that he's ahead. It's that in all those categories, Jared Goff ranks at least 5th in all of those categories. The guys that are consistently ahead of him are Tua Tagovailoa. You have a couple where Josh Allen is ahead of him. Kirk Cousins is actually ahead of him in touchdowns and in total yards. Matthew Stafford as well in total yards. CJ Stroud in total yards. But it's hard for people to understand this, right? Because you look at Jared Goff and it's like, oh, it's Jared Goff. I mean, like, he's 29 and he lost the Super Bowl and he didn't score a touchdown. And here's another thing I want to this is something that's interesting to me. It's a little comparison that I think not a lot of people have noticed. Okay? Let me just pull up I got another player. Now I'm not implying that this is the turnaround that he's absolutely going to have, okay? So, Jared Goff spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Let me just double check that math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He spent 5 years with the Los Angeles Rams. Okay. Now there's another quarterback who, in the history of this league, he did not spend 5 seasons with Los Angeles. He spent 5 seasons with another team based in California. Let me just double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he moved on from that team and went on to have a very successful career at an age where he was closer to 30 than he was to 20. And another thing to point out about that is this player moved on to a coach who worked in the New Orleans Saints organization. I think you know who I'm talking. It's Drew Brees. It's Drew Brees. 5 years Drew Brees spent with the San Diego Chargers. He had 1 Pro Bowl season. Every other season, he was okay. He wasn't amazing. And a lot of times he was actually very bad. Threw a lot of interceptions, threw a lot of touchdowns, but couldn't keep the ball in the hands of his offense. And to answer your question, Dylan, do I think he'll win the MVP? I think if he continues at this pace, not a bad shot. Because look, as far as total yards, like he's not getting beat by Matthew Stafford for the MVP. He's not getting beat by CJ Stroud for the MVP. He's not getting beat by Kirk Cousins for the MVP. The only guy I could see winning the MVP at this point, other than Jared Goff, as far as quarterbacks, if we're looking at yards, it'll be Tua. Because Tua is putting on arguably an even better year than Jared Goff. But Tua has probably the best wide receiver room and probably the best running room and potentially the best offense in the league. And not that's not a slight at Tua, but here's the thing. I'm not saying that Jared Goff is going to go on to have a Hall of Fame career with the Lions, a la Hall of Fame career that Breeze had with the Saints. But what I am saying is that he seems to have found something here. He seems to have, like, Dan Campbell made a comment at the beginning of the season, before the season started, like, I want to say around training camp time. He said that Jared Goff right now is better than when we got him. The implication, of course, being that he is better than he was when he was in LA. And in LA, everybody assumes, the two Pro Bowls in 2017, 2018, and, leading the league in yards per catch. He led the league in attempts. He was a 3,000, 4,000 yard passer. But you look at what he's done in Detroit, and it's like 2021 threw for 3,000 yards, 2022 threw for 4,000 yards. He's on pace to probably hit close to that, if not that again, throwing for right now 1,600 yards. He's having what looks like a better season than he had last year. And he has a potential to put up higher numbers given the fact that he's got Jamison Williams to increase that deep ball threat that was not there before and was certainly not there last year. And look, again, do I think he's going to win the MVP? Probably not, just given how good Tua has been. And it's far too early to be talking about MVP. But he certainly should get some votes. I mean, heck, Justin Fields last year got votes. I mean, if Justin Fields can get MVP votes, I don't see why Jared Goff should not get MVP votes. I mean, he has been absolutely fantastic. And I truly do believe right now, gun to my head, he's a top 5 quarterback in this league. Right now, he's better than Jalen Hurts. Right now, he's arguably better than Josh Allen. Right now, he's been playing more consistently than even Patrick Mahomes. I mean, again, do you want me to go through the stats? Do you want me to go through the stats where he's ahead of Mahomes? Ahead of Mahomes in yards. Ahead of Mahomes, I believe, in touchdowns. Ahead of Mahomes in, where is it? In yards per game. Ahead of Mahomes in quarterback rating. Ahead of Mahomes in QBR. I mean, like, I'm not trying to, like, diss Mahomes, but we have to be looking at reality, guys. As it stands this year, Jared Goff has been a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. Not saying he stays that way by the end of the season, because Mahomes tends to get better as the season goes. But right now, where we stand, in the year of our Lord, 10/17/2023, Patrick Mahomes is not playing as well as Jared Goff is right now. And what he did on Sunday especially cements that. He had no running game. He had Craig Reynolds as his starting running back the whole game. And he threw for 350-some yards. Let me actually get the exact number. He threw for 353 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. I mean, he threw the ball 44 times. How often does a guy throw the ball 44 times and not once throw an interception? And it wasn't like he was just throwing to guys that were wide open. He was throwing through coverage. Go look at the highlights. Go watch the tape. He's throwing to Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams and all these guys, and Josh Reynolds and Sam Laporta, through coverage. He's throwing through like 3 defenders. I couldn't believe it. I was watching the game. Right now, I'm just laying it out for the people. He's a top 5 quarterback. And I think it's weird. It doesn't make any sense. Nobody could have expected it. I didn't expect it, and I thought this team was going to win 12 games. He's playing out of his mind. And if he doesn't get an MVP vote by the end of it, I really don't know what he has to do, because, frankly, he deserves all the respect in the world. He was treated, he was seen as, oh, you only took him on so that you could get some better picks from the Rams, right? That was the idea. But the more we look at it, assuming if the Lions can win a Super Bowl, I don't think it is a question that the Lions win that trade, assuming they win the Super Bowl. You get a franchise quarterback, you get 2 first-round picks, and and you win the Super Bowl on top of the Rams with it, like, and I'm not to say that the Rams didn't get a win there. Obviously, you won the Super Bowl the first year with a new quarterback. That's not exactly a lose for you in that trade. But Brad Holmes, again, with a masterclass of a trade because nobody wanted Jared Goff. Nobody. And now, you ask a lot of the teams around the league, ask the Broncos if they'd like Jared Goff. Ask the Raiders. Ask the Bears. If they would, ask any of these teams that have, ask the Saints. Ask the Giants. Ask any of these teams that if they could have a quarterback like Jared Goff, they would take it in a heartbeat. That's just what it is. Just what it is. Hey there, what you just watched was actually a clip from a larger show that we do every Tuesday night. What are you doing Tuesday night? Go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the like button so that you don't miss out on any more of our weekly shows every single Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you there.